How have you been?
I've been great.
I'm back, and you're fired.
And welcome back to the channel, everybody. Welcome back to a new video. And yes, it's true, Tim is back, and I hope you enjoyed that little clip with Tim. That's how I envisioned like the fantasy, which would be Tim comes back and Carlos is there and he gets to run him out after getting ran out by Carlos Tavares. It's just a beautiful, beautiful turnabout. So let's just dream that that probably in some alternate reality happened, because it's just beautiful, considering that running Tim out was like the worst, one of the most stupid things Carlos could have done at the time, considering that he was at least the one for many of us that was just holding us in with some hope that they would pull their heads out of their freaking rear ends. But of course we found that they didn't, and Tim retired, and then they brought him back. And I got a few messages and I got a few comments, people saying, out of curiosity, like, what do you think Tim should do? Like the first things he should do to right that ship, considering that he's got a position now overseeing Ram trucks, not the entire CDJR. How much power does he have? People are asking me, Brad, you know, I'm not as excited because he's not over Dodge, and I think that that's a great thing that he's back, but how's that going to help us? Like, I'm not looking to buy a truck and blah, blah, blah. Well, I guess the best way to lay this out, and without saying too much, I mean, TK and Butter and I were having a conversation last night, is I believe, and I'll let TK explain this end of it even more, because he's got some really deep inside info coming his way. But none of us believe that they brought Tim back from retirement to come in and be the CEO of Ram Trucks. Now, no question, it's a very profitable entity and one that could definitely substantiate a strong salary, a strong comp plan for Tim. But I don't believe Tim came back just for the money. For sure, the money was a component. It always is. But I don't believe he would come back just for the money if the place was still going to be a train wreck all the way around. And considering that CDJR, all those brands are together on almost every single dealership out there in America, then there has to be some synergies that take place. And I gotta think, I think TK thinks this too, Butter thinks this too, that they had to find a slot to get Tim back in the fold while they restructure this entire thing, because it needs restructuring. I think nobody would argue that that entire company needs restructuring. And one thing I said in a video probably a month ago when we were talking about who do we think would be the CEO, I shared with you my thought on structure, which would be they have to split this thing off and let CDJR be its own thing, have its own CEO over everything, and then have, you know, they can have brand leaders. So at this point, they're giving CEO titles out. I gotta think that is a, I don't want to say grooming, but it's a prepping for a bigger announcement. Could be completely wrong, but let's just say it is. Whether it is or not that Tim would be taking on a much larger role over all of CDJR, I'm going to go with the premise that they had to go out of their way to bring him back. He didn't come back begging them to hire him. They went to him and said, look, what would it take to get you back? And that dynamic of negotiations leaves Tim in a stronger position of influence in that company. Meaning the existing brand leaders of Chrysler, Dodge, and Jeep likely don't have the same level of influence as Tim has, being the new guy that they had to pull back in after letting him get done wrong. So they're going to be looking for ways, just the natural human dynamic and professional business dynamic is they're going to be looking for ways to say yes to what he says should happen. And that's where I put together a short list of what I think he should be asking for right up front and what he should be doing right up front with the influence that he has, which is probably quadruple the influence that he had before over all the brands and the entire shoot match. So that means that I guarantee you McAleer is going, hey, so what do you think about this whole thing? And what got you to come back? And by the way, I haven't been able to voice my thoughts lately with Tavares around, but what are yours? And they're going to find some alignment. So the first thing that I believe Tim should be doing, and by the way, I'm going to give you a list of things, and by no means should they be in this order, but it might make sense if they are in some cases, but these are the things that should get done. And I think starts off with this. Tim should reach out, and I guarantee you, I think that's happening anyways. He's reaching out to the other leaders, McAleer and Chris Huell, and Filosa, I think, is involved somewhere. Bottom line is, the other leaders of the brands, Tim should reach out to them, and probably will reach out to them, and set up a call or a meeting and say, we need to get in alignment. We have to be in alignment here in the U.S., otherwise we're going to be going different directions. We cannot make progress if you're fighting a battle over here and I'm fighting a battle over there, and I'm saying I don't want this thing to happen to my truck, and you're saying I don't want this thing to happen to my Chargers, and we're all fighting for our own thing. It's going up to one, frankly, committee in place of the prior CEO, Tavares, and they're going to say yes to some things, no to some other things, and we're going to be disjointed. So the first thing, if I was Tim, I would be saying, we need to be in alignment in what our biggest challenges are, that are mutual challenges that we all share. And my next points are going to tie this together. And when they have those conversations, and if I was Tim, I would say, let's all get in a room and spend a whole day together and whiteboard this thing out. What's your biggest challenges? What's the biggest issues? And what are things we can control? And what should we put on our Christmas list to lobby to Stellantis and this new executive committee in place of the CEO while they're shopping for a CEO, and to Elkin, what we need to happen for us to be successful and fix this company. Otherwise, we're going to keep bleeding and having problems and go nowhere. And they have to reach out to the Stellantis leadership and be able to start that conversation by saying, we've already all gotten together and we are in alignment with the top 5 things we need to get done to be able to turn this thing around in short order. And here's how you can get them done and what you can do to make these things happen. And if you make these things happen, this is the outcome. This is the profits that we'll start to see and the recovery in this company that you'll get to enjoy. And that will be reflected on Wall Street. Next, in that list of things that they agree on, they should, and hopefully Tim's already thinking this. Tim understood this back at Dodge with Hellcats and Scat Packs and everything else, that they had to buy the carbon offsets. Now, I'm not going to get into the political ramifications, all that crap, and hopefully some things change moving forward. But when Tavares said, this was a poignant time in that brand's history, when Tavares came out and said a couple years ago, you are no longer allowed, it is forbidden for you to buy any more of those carbon credits at all, which means you're going to have to figure out how to go cold turkey with mostly electric cars, small engines, small internal combustion engines, and meet these CAFE standards and achieve our Dare Forward 2030 program. And that pretty much forced them into, there's no way, since they haven't had electric vehicles, being able to achieve any CAFE requirements. And that meant all gas cars, especially V8s, were going to have to go on the Dodge side, where trucks have a little more latitude because the CAFE standards are different for trucks and heavier vehicles. So they should go back. Tim should lead the march with this, with his political capital now, and say, we need to immediately reopen the ability to buy the carbon offsets until we get our electric vehicles going. We should have never stopped. We could have kept building all those V8s and V6s and the Pentastars. We could have kept building all of our minivans. We could have kept building all this stuff and made tons and tons of money still done the Hellcats for a while longer, went out a couple more years, and then got the electric cars going, and then slowly phased that stuff out as we got our own carbon offsets because we had our own electric vehicles. But since we didn't launch a car to compete with the Mach-E 5 years ago, we don't have any ability to compete. So we had to go cold turkey because he wouldn't let us buy the carbon offsets. So now I need you to free that up and say we can do it. And then they need to mobilize, refire up the factories that they can, start hiring people again, and start getting manufacturing going with more affordable cars that are priced where they make more sense, where people can afford them, and stop trying to be a luxury automaker. And I think Tim can get that point across, and I think that the Jeep and Ram and Chrysler folks would agree. We are not a luxury brand. We need to stop that. It's choking us off. We can't compete with luxury brands. So you're going to put us out of business. We need to start pumping out cheap, good cars, which means we've got to bring back some of those engineers, got to bring back a lot of those employees that did good work, that built quality vehicles, and get back on track. And we can do this electric thing over time, not cold turkey. That's where Carlos screwed up. And tying to that, next thing they need to do is review all pricing. Another day in the conference room, in the boardroom, with the CDJR leaders, with Tim leading the march, saying, here's what we need to do. Let's review all of our pricing, all of our incentives nationwide in the U.S., and find out why things aren't moving. Why can't we move the stuff that we have? Why are trucks not moving? Why are Jeeps piling up everywhere? Why do we have such overwhelming amounts of inventory? And let's make sure we have the right incentives on everything, and get to a place to where we can start moving metal off of dealerships. And when that happens, we're going to have to start building more cars. When you start selling the hell out of all those Jeeps because you priced them right or put the right incentives on them, we're going to start bringing cash flow back into the manufacturer, into the dealers, and rebuilding our health. But we've got to get the pricing right because we're way overpriced. And frankly, the incentives have been not enough. There's an RT Durango right there. Sounded good. Anyways, so that's another thing he's got to do. They got to get deep in these prices. The prices are just too high. Then they've got to call, once they come up with a plan that they're gonna propose to Stellantis, they need to call all their dealerships top to bottom. And since there's more than one leader and you've got CDJR, they can call their dealers, and they all have relationships. They can call their reps. They can start making the calls and having conversations with them, like one-on-one, person to person. And it goes like this. We're considering rolling out some aggressive incentives that would allow you to be profitable and sell your cars for cheaper prices. What do you think? Well, that would be great, because I've got, 3,000 Jeeps I can't get rid of, and a bunch of trucks I can't get rid of, and all this crap I can't sell. Hornets piling, overflowing in my lot. Cool. Then we're going to propose some stuff to you guys. But we can't do that if you're going to keep screwing customers over. And, I'd like to put rules in place and threaten you and have you sign contracts and all this stuff. But I'm telling you right now, if we're going to turn this thing around and we're all going to come out of this together, this is what great coaches do. Have a conversation with them and say, with the GMs and the owners of those dealerships, say, can I get your commitment that we're not going to do that stuff? If I drop the prices, that doesn't mean that you can raise the prices. Because what's the point of me dropping the prices if you're just going to keep the prices high with markups and add-ons and junk fees? And if you do put those things on there, I will be very clear that we're going to either choke off your allocations rapidly and severely, or some other punitive actions will take place. But the bottom line is, I would rather you just tell me up front, I'm on board. If you get the prices fixed, the prices right, you get manufacturing going again, you bring back some gas cars, bring back some cheap cars so we can sell the hell out of them, get us back some inventory that people do want to buy, stop jamming the EVs down our throats, we will behave. And that could take 3-4 weeks of them calling these dealerships, setting up meetings with them and saying, We got to get in alignment. Because remember, this whole thing has to start with alignment. Alignment from the manufacturer, alignment with the dealers, and then the dealers, alignment with their salespeople, and then alignment with their customers. And I'm telling you, that's where whatever influence Tim has will turn this thing around. Next, they need to sit down. Tim could lead this meeting with the other leaders and say, how many of you guys were here this last 5-6 months? How many of Carlos's decisions hurt us? What are they? Whiteboard them, put them up on the board. Well, getting rid of our engineers, and now we're delivering crap to the streets. All right, we got to bring them back. Yes, that means there's going to be layoffs in, Brazil and Morocco or something, and we're going to go back and we're going to get on our knees and we're going to beg these very talented engineers to come back and fix all the problems with all the stuff that we have now, and that because that was a mistake that Carlos made to save money. How about what else? Well, he shipped a lot of jobs overseas and they're doing a horrible job. Frankly, they're doing a bad job. Okay, great. Let's bring them back. Let's get the employee list and start making phone calls and bring those back. What they got to do is figure out everything that Carlos did that was bad, that was hurtful to the brands, hurtful to the company, hurtful to sales, and start lobbying hard to reverse those things. And they're not going to get them all. Some of them had to get done. Cost cutting, but reverse everything that they can within reason, or reverse them partially so that they can get this company looking like it looked before and positioned to be able to go out and be successful. And then I would say last but not least, there's many other things, but I just took some time today at lunch and started writing these down because there's so much more that needs to get done. But I believe if they took these actions and then did this, once they go through all that, and that might take a couple of months, and then they come out and collectively do a press release, hell, they can do a video, and it could be a mea culpa to the general public, meaning, yep, we fell off. Our company made some mistakes. We went too far with leadership, with bad leadership. Own the mistake and say, look, we overpriced our cars. We gave you cars you didn't want. We tried to force EVs down your throat when you didn't want them. We tried to tell you that an Alfa Romeo was a Dodge or a Compass, what the hell ever it is. We did these things, and we understand that it disappointed you and it alienated you. We allowed our dealers to run wild, and the dealers did run wild. This is what we've done. We've spoken to every single dealer. We're implementing some strategies to keep them from being stupid. We're going to right-size prices. We're going to come out with the most aggressive incentives ever. We're going to put people back to work. We're going to build cheap but good quality cars again. And those cars are going to be gas engines. We're going to continue down our road with our aggressive EV strategy. But in the meantime, we're going to go back to buying the carbon offsets, even though we hate doing it, so that we can deliver you all cars that you want, meet the customer's needs and demands, deliver you cheap cars. Remember the SXTs and the GTs and the minivans, deliver these things at better prices. The Jeep Compasses, the stuff that people could afford, deliver a large amount of those, because those will always sell, offer great incentives and interest rates and introductory rates or whatever it is, incentive rates. And we're going to deliver lots of those. We're going to start putting people to work incrementally to get that manufacturing ramped back up. It's going to take us a year. It took a solid year for the previous leadership to screw things up. It'll take us that long to fix it. Maybe sooner if we can act quicker. But if they put that press release out and they do that video and they own their mistakes, maybe they don't have to admit blatantly some of the stuff to avoid getting sued by their shareholders and stuff, but at least get up and say, we heard you and we're going to do it right. All they got to do is go back and watch the old Iacocca videos, the TV commercials, when he's standing there with his people.
The small car buyer delivered his challenge to the American car maker loud and clear. Give me a better car at a better price and I'll stop buying imports. I say, fair enough. The monkey's on our backs. And that's why Chrysler put together the America Project. Workers, engineers, suppliers, all working together to drive quality up and knock costs down. And guess what? Working together works. This May, 2 new 1987 small cars will come down the production line. the America series, Omni America from Dodge, Horizon America from Plymouth. We improved quality, added equipment, boosted performance, and still took $710 out of the price. Maybe that puts a monkey on somebody else's back. Because with 5-year, 50,000-mile protection and a $54.99 sticker price, these cars are a better value than any small car from America, Japan, Korea, or Timbuktu. The Chrysler America series is the roadmap to the future, working together to be the best. That's what America is all about, isn't it?
And I'll tell you right now, if Tim and the other CDJR leaders all stand there at a plant with all the UAW workers and say, we are going to lock arms now. We're going to make good on opening Belvedere. We're going to do these things, but we need your support, customers, to buy these cars. We need your forgiveness for us to get back to work together. And I just got to think, I'm gonna fall back in love with that company. And by the way, Stellantis can keep being the European company they are, and they just stay in the background. There's nothing they do in the foreground that helps. Anytime they get involved, it's just going to be worse. And let Tim be the messenger for this stuff, because frankly, he's the one that I think most people will listen to, especially the enthusiasts. Bring back a couple Hellcats. Hell, I don't care, dumb them down a little bit, put a bunch of more emissions on them, put them in the new lighter chassis, whatever the hell. Come out with a CUDA and make it smaller and lighter, but a better engine. Whatever. But bottom line is, bring us back some stuff that's going to get people back in love with Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, and Ram again. And I think at that point, this company has half a chance. So that's just a rough draft. Make no mistake, I'm not applying for any jobs here. I just think Tim could lead this. Tim could bring it together. And I'll tell you right now, at that point, everyone would say, he led us through this. He took charge before he had the job. Damn it, give that man the job. And I'll tell you right now, I was doing my executive role that I'm in right now long before I ever had it. I've never needed the title, because I've always locked arms with my leadership, with my team, and said, what do we need to do to fix things? What do we need to do to get this thing moving forward? And then I listened. You know why? Because I was never rich enough, and still am not rich enough, to not listen and take the risk of being wrong. When you listen to your people, you filter it, you're smart about it, but you listen to your people, and ultimately you're the decision maker, but then you make good decisions around that. You can't lose. And I think that just goes back to the old Iacocca days. So with that, everybody, let me know what you think about this. A little bit longer video, I'm sure, but I'm driving out to the desert. So any of you viewers out in the desert, if you see me out there in the green machine, wave at me. Anyways, let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like, subscribe, and I will see you all in the next one. And that is a police car just past me. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Quality, hard work, commitment. The stuff America was made of. Without them, there is no future. I have one and only one ambition for Chrysler: to be the best. What else is there?